Oh, yeah. All right. Welcome to the show. It's Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He's Johnny North. WrestlingUncensored.net is the website. RingsideReport.net. It's all the same. It's all the same thing. Go there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the video. Leave a comment. If you're listening to this show on the radio, you can always go to our website, RingsideReport.net. You can go to our YouTube channel, and you can watch everything that we do. Go subscribe to the channel right now. Not just audio shows, but also many video shows. Dave and Johnny Live, an exclusive YouTube show where we mostly talk pro wrestling these days. We talk about a lot of different things, but this week's episode was pro wrestling heavy. We talked about Smackdown and everything that happened there, the debacle that is Daniel Bryan's current run in the WWE and what they're doing with Daniel Bryan. No Smackin It last week. We don't do Smackin It every single week. That's the special YouTube show that we dedicate to SmackDown. It's like a SmackDown post show. And, yeah, that didn't happen last week because SmackDown really didn't warrant it. You know, SmackDown will only get a Smackin It if it's worthy of discussion. But lately the show has just been subpar.
To be fair, you're only smacking it, not me.
Yes, it's Smackin It with Dave. That is the name of the show. And, it appears on our YouTube channel just like many other different shows. Of course, Ringside Report, the MMA show. You can listen to that show on the radio. You can also watch that show on our YouTube channel, RingsideReport.net, for everything. All the things.
So what do you want to start? AEW? Dynamite?
Let's start with the WWE a little bit. Let's get to AEW later, John. I want to start with the WWE because there seems to be a lot more going on in the WWE right now than in AEW. I feel like
Okay. Wow.
the WWE has a major event coming up of WrestleMania-like proportions next week, and right here over the next hour, we will preview that show, WWE Crown Jewel, going down next Thursday afternoon, Halloween afternoon in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Brock Lesnar defending the WWE Championship against Cain Velasquez, a man who defeated him in under 5 minutes in the UFC's Octagon in 2010. We have Seth Rollins defending the Universal title against The Fiend Bray Wyatt in a Falls Count Anywhere match. We have AJ Styles taking on the winner of a 20-man battle royal. So there'll be a 20-man battle royal on this card, with the winner getting a U.S. title shot against the Phenomenal One. What else do we have here? Braun Strowman versus heavyweight champion boxer Tyson Fury in Fury's first ever professional wrestling match. Of course, Team Hogan versus Team Flair, a 10-man tag team match there. Mansoor, Saudi Arabia's own, taking on the Swiss Superman Cesaro. It's a very big card that the WWE is putting together next week.
There's a name absent, though, from this list who's always in Saudi Arabia, yet he's not on this show. The Undertaker.
Oh, yeah. The Undertaker.
Doesn't he always come back for these shows?
Usually, yeah. I guess no Taker this time. That's okay. I mean, you got Hogan and Flair involved. You got Cain Velasquez wrestling Brock Lesnar for the WWE title. I mean, that could be the biggest match as far as box office, big name value that you have all year. And then you add Tyson Fury to that mix, wrestling Braun Strowman. That's a pretty massive double main event. The Strowman Fury, Lesnar, Velasquez main events, massive for the WWE. You don't really need anything else on the card. Like, Taker's big and all, but maybe they didn't like the last time they had Undertaker there, so they're like, yeah, we're cool. We're cool on the Undertaker.
Well, I think maybe, like you said...
What was Taker's last match there? Was it the tag team match with Kane against Shawn and Hunter? Because that was terrible. Or was that in Australia?
No, that was
in Saudi Arabia, right? Was that the last time
that was
they
the
went
last
there?
Crown Jewel, actually.
That's the last Crown Jewel.
But he was in Saudi Arabia the last time this year against Goldberg.
Oh, yeah, it's Super Showdown.
And you know how that went.
Yeah, he beat Goldberg, and it was not a good match. So maybe they're, Staying away from The Undertaker in Saudi Arabia. I think it's not a bad thing that he's not on the show, right?
Well, why not put him in the 20-man Battle Royal? Who else is going to be in there? You put so many guys in the Tag Team Turmoil match. Who else is going to be in this Battle Royal?
So Undertaker's in a 20-man Battle Royal. He wins the Battle Royal and then challenges AJ Styles for the U.S. title. And what?
And loses?
Loses to AJ Styles.
That's fine.
Don't think so, pal. Don't think so. I think Kevin Owens is more likely to be in the Battle Royal and wind up winning and challenging AJ Styles.
Yeah, that seems like it if you watch TV, I guess. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, which, the WWE kind of bases most of their stuff off their TV shows, right? The current storylines. Undertaker's not going to show up as a surprise appearance in a Battle Royal, John. A 20-man Battle Royal, they can easily find 20 guys to throw in there. It's going to be, the people who challenge for the 24/7 championship.
Sadly, yeah.
The Singh brothers, R-Truth. I could rattle off 20 jabronis in the WWE right now and fill that Battle Royal up without mentioning the dead man's name.
Of course, no problem. Sure.
Easily. And they're not going to have Undertaker there unadvertised. So let's just drop the Taker in the Battle Royal theory, John. I'm sorry. It would be cool, but it's just not going to happen, pal.
It'd be a great match for AJ. If they get that on his list, they beat The Undertaker.
Sure. You think they do that?
Like you said, unadvertised, probably not.
Even if they did advertise it, they're not putting AJ Styles over The Undertaker. Not U.S. champion AJ Styles. Maybe WWE champion AJ Styles from a year and a half ago, but not current OC U.S. champion AJ Styles.
Really? They're not going to push AJ that much? I mean, he's kind of the top heel champion right now in all of WWE.
No, Brock Lesnar is.
Yeah, Brock, but when Brock shows up, though. Week to week, it's AJ.
Oh, please. You're the biggest Brock Lesnar backer there is. What are you talking about? You love Brock.
But when Brock's there, he's great, but he's not always there, and you know that.
Uh-huh. So, who do you think is going to win this Battle Royal and face AJ Styles for the U.S. title? I think it's going to be Kevin Owens.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah. It was a six-man... no, not a six-man tag. I thought it was going to be a six-man tag. It was a tag team match, which was really weird, right? Because AJ Styles and the OC, they attacked the Street Profits last week on Raw, and we think we're going to have a match, but they tell the Street Profits they have to find another guy to team with them because they're three guys. So then we have the main event on Raw, and the Street Profits the whole time are teasing this mystery, what we thought, tag team partner.
Six-man tag, we thought.
And then it's just a tag team match, and no one explains anything. The Street Profits just wrestle Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows with AJ Styles outside of the ring. The Street Profits wind up winning. Now, AJ Styles was interfering in the match, and he was being tossed out of the match by the referee. And then Kevin Owens shows up and hits him with a stunner, allowing the Street Profits to kind of take control of the match, and then they win by pinfall after hitting their finisher. So Kevin Owens wasn't their tag team partner. He just showed up at the end to help them when AJ Styles was interfering in the match. Like, how did they know that AJ Styles was going to interfere in the match to begin with and that they would even need Kevin Owens? Like, none of it made any kind of sense. They were teasing Kevin Owens in a way where it seemed like he was going to show up as their tag team partner, but instead he's just like in their corner, kind of, at the end when they need him the most. It was weird.
Terribly booked.
Terribly booked. And then by the end of it, you're like, oh, this is probably going to be Kevin Owens because he has been drafted to Raw, and he's like the only name that's been drafted to Raw that hasn't shown up yet, right? Like, he was the only guy that it could have been. So then he shows up, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, Kevin Owens.
I guess Randy Orton, but Randy Orton's a heel, so it doesn't make any sense.
No, it was obviously going to be Kevin Owens. And then when I figured out, like, during the match, I'm like, okay, well, Kevin Owens, I guess, is going to show up here at some point. When I figured out it was going to be KO, I was like, so what? We're just going to do Kevin Owens, AJ Styles for the U.S. title again? Like, this is where we're headed? Haven't we seen this before time and time again? Like, felt like several pay-per-views of that, and now we're just going back to Kevin Owens, AJ Styles for the U.S. title. I guess last time it was on SmackDown, so now it'll be on Raw.
The roles were reversed too. Kevin was the heel, AJ was the face, so now it's switched shows too, so maybe you'll get a different kind of match.
Are you excited about it, though? Like, is this the thing that ends Raw that makes you say, well, yes, here we go, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles. I can't wait till next week.
Well, given everything else I see on Raw, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens is a feud. I think that's the best thing that Raw has.
Right. But are you excited about it?
I wouldn't mind seeing it. I just don't want to see it for 3 pay-per-views in a row.
You wouldn't mind seeing it. You don't want to see it for 3 pay-per-views in a row, right?
1 or 2 is good.
But it's been done before recently, right? Like, it's not that long ago that they did this.
It's like 2 years ago, maybe.
To do it again now, it's kind of like, yeah, it was all right. But were the matches great?
They had the potential to be some of the best matches ever in WWE and never lived up to that hype. So maybe now it can.
Maybe. I mean, I agree Kevin Owens and AJ Styles are 2 of the best in the WWE. I didn't feel like their first feud was that great, and I don't really feel like this has that much heat going into it where you really care. Like, what happened here? Kevin Owens kind of, already hit AJ Styles with his finisher, made him look bad, and helped the Street Profits beat the OC. I don't know. Like, I don't really see what the feud is about. I don't really see why they don't like each other. I don't really see a reason to care what these 2 guys are doing. I don't care about what these 2 guys are doing, and that's a problem. I want to care. I want them to give me something worth investing my time into, right? Like, you want a good story for Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, and they don't really give it to you. They just give you like, oh, well, Street Profits need somebody, so Kevin Owens. It's just kind of slapped together with no real rhyme or reason. And it's hard to get behind Kevin Owens when there's no real rhyme or reason for what he's doing.
Well, right now he's kind of random, right? Where it's just like he kind of came out of nowhere, and right away he's in this feud with the U.S. champion. It's kind of just taking advantage of a situation, making the most of it.
Okay. I like this promo that they showed on the YouTube channel there when he says to the Street Profits, I like you guys. I might not even turn on you.
That's great. But, of course, everyone turns on everyone in wrestling. So.
Yeah. Kevin Owens seems to turn on all of his friends, right? But, it's just missed opportunities there. They could have done something more with Kevin Owens. He could have – I'm not sure, really. I'm not really sure what they could have done with Kevin Owens here. If they're going to have him feud with AJ Styles, I guess this is the best thing to do, I guess.
It's never bad to feud with AJ Styles.
How about Humberto Carrillo?
That was okay.
He has a match with Seth Rollins this week on TV. He loses to Seth Rollins. It's Humberto Carrillo's debut on Raw, right?
He was good. He was very good.
He was good. He looked really good. He was impressive. Solid wrestler. Loses to the Universal Champion Seth Rollins, gets hit with his curb stomp finisher, clean 1-2-3 middle of the ring in a non-title match. What would be the harm in having Humberto Carrillo somehow beat Seth Rollins?
I think the harm is the fact that Seth Rollins lost a lot of momentum after Hell in a Cell, and they needed to rebuild him, and this is part of the rebuild.
I don't think this does a lot to rebuild Seth in a match against a guy who's debuting on Raw. He was in 205 Live. Like, he's this young kid, and Seth beats him. Like, does that really help Seth Rollins?
Well,
Does it elevate Seth Rollins? Does it do anything to make him a bigger star? I don't think so.
Unlike Brock Lesnar, he's on Raw wrestling a match that's not for the title, but at least he's on Raw competing, showcasing himself as one of the top guys on Raw.
So?
And put somebody over in the meantime as well.
He didn't put anybody over. He beat him in the middle of the ring. How about losing to him? How about making Humberto Carrillo into a star? Because in 2 weeks, this guy's going to be losing to Drew McIntyre. Like, it doesn't matter. You've brought in this guy who's just going to be a future jobber. You haven't made him. You haven't done anything with him. You gave him a match with Seth Rollins where it's like, hey, good little match, kid. You lose, back of the line, go back and do whatever. Lost in the shuffle. Like, they didn't make Humberto Carrillo. They could have made Humberto Carrillo if he beat Seth Rollins. If he beats him, rolls him up, somehow Seth looks shocked, you know, in a week or two, they give Humberto Carrillo a title match on Raw. Seth beats him then. It's all fine, you know? It was a fluke win, but, you know, Humberto Carrillo, maybe it was a fluke win by beating Seth Rollins. Maybe 9 times out of 10, Seth Rollins beats Humberto Carrillo. But just tell the audience that, hey, it's possible that maybe that 1 time out of 10, Humberto Carrillo, he beat Seth Rollins. You know, like Cody had a draw with Darby Allin. You know, people are losing to other people in AEW, and it doesn't make them less of a star. It just elevates the next guy, and you can move on, and you can become bigger going forward. And, you know, New Japan does this very well. AEW is starting to do this very well. But the WWE just doesn't get it, and that's why no one gets over in the WWE. No one becomes a big star in the WWE because they don't know how to just make somebody in a night.
Well, one night's not going to make somebody. I mean,
no, but, you know, I mean, remember, I mean, this is a bad example because he lost, but remember when Jeff Hardy wrestled The Undertaker in that ladder match for the title?
Of course.
Like, that made Jeff Hardy a legit title threat going forward in the WWE. Like, he went from just a tag team guy to, oh, Jeff Hardy is a legit singles wrestler. They made Jeff Hardy in one night by that one match with The Undertaker.
And what helped was The Undertaker shook his hand afterwards, showing that The Undertaker respected him, regardless that The Undertaker was a heel at the time as well.
Did Seth shake Humberto Carrillo's hand afterwards, you know, raise his hand up in the air? None of that.
None of that, no.
None of that. Undertaker knew how to beat a guy, but make him a bigger star. Because Undertaker is a legend of the wrestling business and one of the greatest to ever step into his yard. Seth Rollins was not able to capture that spirit on Raw this week.
Well, they're also trying to rebuild him at the same time, right? So this was also to help Seth Rollins as much as it was to help Humberto as well.
Seth Rollins thinks Kenny Omega is in the minor leagues.
JR's mad about that, apparently.
Well, did you see that?
I saw the video, and he's kind of right about a couple of things. Like, WWE is the biggest wrestling promotion right now in the world. There's no question about that.
Okay.
Are his matches the best? No, but I'm sure he believes that, and he should believe that.
Told Kenny Omega he needs to step up to the major leagues, and
I'm sure he wants to wrestle Kenny Omega. It's
well,
good for him, though. Yeah.
If you're a pro wrestler, you should want to wrestle Kenny Omega. John, do you want to wrestle Kenny Omega?
Of course.
Wouldn't it be great?
It'd be amazing.
I would love for you to wrestle Kenny Omega.
He was the best wrestler last year, right?
I think he's still the best wrestler, you know? But yeah, wrestler of the year last year. And he's still the wrestler of the year. I mean, he's the best wrestler in the world today. Seth Rollins, you know, just not. Take their matches this week. Seth Rollins, Humberto Carrillo, very good match. Kenny Omega, Joey Janela, I thought was better on AEW Dynamite this week.
The thing is that I thought he had a better match on Dark, though, against Janela, though.
Of course. That was the problem with the match. They shouldn't have booked it. They shouldn't have done that, but we're going to talk about AEW in a little bit and the Dynamite show. Before, though, there's still more stuff on Monday Night Raw that we have to get to. But, you know, don't you think it would have been nice for Humberto Carrillo to have beat Seth?
I don't think he's just going to be lost in the shuffle now, though. Like, maybe he won't be a top star, but I don't think he's just going to go right back down to the undercard. He's not just going to lose Drew McIntyre right away. Give it a couple of weeks, then he'll lose Drew McIntyre.
Okay, well, he might beat Drew McIntyre, but then lose to him a couple times.
Like Ricochet? What happened to Ricochet this week? It started Raw.
Yeah, Ricochet loses to Drew McIntyre.
And Ricochet beat Drew McIntyre in the King of the Ring. Went ahead of Drew McIntyre and then right back down. It happens.
So Ric Flair comes to the ring and he's like, I'm going to introduce the final member of Team Flair. And you're like, oh, cool. Who's it going to be? And he's like, oh, it's a great guy. He's super awesome. He's great. I'm like, oh, who's Flair talking about? And he's like, Drew McIntyre. And I'm like, Drew McIntyre?
So disappointed.
Womp, womp. Terrible. blah. Crowd goes mild. Flair, for some reason, cuts like a heel promo on some Cleveland Brown players that are in the crowd.
I thought it was the XFL. No, was it?
No, he's talking about the Cleveland Browns. I thought there
Oh.
was an XFL guy there, too. By the way, the XFL is going to start like the week after the Super Bowl. So, right in WrestleMania season, Vince is going to be super distracted with his football league. Maybe they'll make good WrestleMania.
But doesn't he have someone else taking care of the XFL for him, though?
I don't know. I'm just trying to distract Vince from the wrestling product so that maybe it could improve somehow. Because Drew McIntyre and Ricochet is not my idea of a great opening match. People liked it, Some people liked it.
It was a good match.
It was, fine, but it didn't blow me away. It was like, yeah, all right. I figured Drew was going to win, and, he had to win because he was being showcased as the new member of Team Flair, da-da-da. Not into it.
Well, it just made a lot of sense because he just came back, right, from his injury. This is kind of his return. So he kind of needed to win, and Ricochet's already been announced for the team. So it just made sense.
I guess. But, I don't know. I start watching Raw, and this is what you give me. I'm not that excited.
Well,
It's not something I want to see. And it just continued, right? OC does a little backstage promo about wanting the smoke. Because that's like their catchphrase, right? The Street Profits, they're like, we want the smoke, right?
it's a T-shirt.
Yeah. And then they say the smoke is illegal in Cleveland, Ohio. It's legal in California, though. The OC, you know what I'm saying? Aleister Black beat a jobber called Jason Reynolds. I don't know why that happened.
Because he wanted to pick a fight.
Yeah, which made zero sense. Like, why would this jobber, who's not even in the WWE, be the only guy who's like, oh, I'll pick a fight with Aleister Black? Like, dude, do you not realize you're a jobber?
It's got some big balls. It's good.
It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. It was so bad. Then the AOP cut a promo about being drafted to Raw, whatever.
The Bobby Lashley stuff was good.
Okay. Jerry Lawler hosts the King's Court, right? His guest is Rusev. Jerry says Lana has been complaining that Rusev is sending too much money back to Bulgaria and that he interferes in her modeling career and he doesn't support her and doesn't spend enough money on her.
Terrible.
Rusev, still wearing his wedding ring, says that I'm still wearing my ring because I believe in our love and I still love my wife, and it's Bobby Lashley who has poisoned Lana's brain and he must be crushed.
I love it.
So Rusev says Lana's a moron. She has no idea, and all it takes is for some Bobby Lashley character to walk in and say things to Lana to completely poison her stupid brain and turn her against me, her loving husband.
Sounds very believable. I love this.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So Lana's an idiot, basically.
She just fell for someone, who's bigger.
And Rusev, Lana's not making her own choices. This is all Bobby Lashley's doing, right? He's so evil. And Rusev says he still wears his wedding ring because every day he hopes they will live happily ever after. Bobby Lashley then appears on the Tron with Lana, right? They're on the big screen. They're at a restaurant. Lana says it was her dream to go to this particular restaurant, but Rusev would never take her. Right? Rusev gets super mad, says he knows where the restaurant is, and decides to go to the restaurant. Okay? Bobby Lashley and Lana are asked to leave the restaurant by a waiter because they know that Rusev is showing up and will cause a disturbance, and they don't want that to happen.
He was the manager, but yeah.
Whatever. They refuse to leave. Lashley says he'll take care of Rusev. Rusev shows up and causes tremendous havoc, attacks Bobby Lashley. Security guards show up, or police, it's not really clear who it is. They apprehend Rusev and stop him, and that's the end of the segment. This is a terrible message to be sending. Rusev's wife is not happy in the marriage. She has chosen to be with Bobby Lashley. They're being a bit mean about it by rubbing it in Rusev's face, but that should not give the right for Rusev to go and attack his wife and her new husband. And also saying that Lana's brain is being poisoned by Lashley and she's not capable of making her own decisions is just a terrible storyline and a terrible thing to put out there and just an awful, awful portrayal of women for the WWE. It's terrible, okay? It's not good. Rusev is the bad guy.
Wow.
Rusev has now turned into the bad guy because, like, Lana, okay, she's chosen to go with Lashley and she's rubbing it in a little bit. She's being mean about it, taunting Rusev. But, like, at this point, they're on a date. They're together. Get over it, Rusev. It's over. You're this jabroni saying, oh, I hope we live happily ever after. Shut up, Rusev. It's not going to happen. She chose Lashley. That gives you no right to go and attack her and him in a restaurant, causing complete havoc. Rusev is the heel. They're portraying him as the babyface, and it is horrible.
Well, Rusev was arrested, they're saying, in the storyline.
Yeah, he should be in jail for several months for what he did.
Okay, but that's it. He's the renegade now, right? You're saying he is the villain, but to a lot of people, that's kind of like the Stone Cold in a sense. He's like the renegade bad guy, but people love him.
Stone Cold's wife never left him for another man. If your wife leaves you for another man, does that give you the right to go and beat up that man?
Remember when?
Answer the question.
I'm just saying.
In real life, John, if your wife leaves you for another man, does that give you the right to go and attack that man in civil society?
You can't.
No. It does not give you that right. So Rusev, he's out of his mind. Like, look, it happens. Marriages dissolve. People get divorced. I'm sorry, Rusev. Lana likes Lashley. She's into Bobby. And that's the way it is, brother.
He's upset.
He's the heel. He is now the heel. After that scene and that display on Raw, and he's like, oh, I still believe in our love. Are you seeing what your wife is doing to you? And he's not blaming Lana in any way. He's completely blaming Lashley. That's ridiculous. That's not right. It's not correct. That's not the correct way of going about it. And the fact that WWE is portraying Rusev as the babyface in all this is absurd.
Well, it's the taunting. The taunting's the problem. Like, it's fine if they didn't, like, taunt it in his face. That's why it's all right that he goes up. Hey,
Rusev, stop being a loser and cutting promos about how you miss Lana and you wish Lana was still there. Like, I'm sorry. If your wife leaves you, you're not allowed to go on TV and be like, oh, this is all Bobby Lashley's fault and Lana doesn't know what she's doing. Like, now they have the right to taunt him. He went on and did a promo with Jerry Stupid Lawler in the middle of the ring. It's on Rusev. He's the bad guy. Sorry, John. That's the way it is.
Well, you can look at it your way, but I'm sure a lot of people don't look at it that way, and they can't wait for Lashley to destroy Bobby Lashley, which will probably happen.
Can't wait for Lashley to destroy Rusev.
Rusev to destroy Bobby Lashley, yeah. Which will probably happen at Crown Jewel.
I disagree. I mean, what happens then? So Rusev beats Bobby Lashley, and then what? Lana goes back to Rusev because that's how relationships work. You just have to beat up another man to get your woman back in this caveman era that we're living in. Like, what are we talking about here?
No, I don't think Lana's going to go back with Rusev, but I think that's what he believes is what's going to happen.
It's awful. It's awful stuff. And Raw continues. Rey Mysterio is in the ring. He talks about Cain Velasquez beating that bastard Brock Lesnar. Call him a bastard.
It's rough.
My God. Paul Heyman shows up, and he says Brock is more focused than ever on revenge. He's going to exact revenge on Cain Velasquez for what he did to him in the UFC. Shelton Benjamin shows up, and he's like, hey, Rey Mysterio, why do you need Cain Velasquez to defend you and your son? And by the way, why is Cain Velasquez getting a title shot? Which, like, you know, good question. He's never wrestled in WWE. All of a sudden, he gets a title shot at Brock Lesnar. Doesn't really make sense. Shelton says that Brock Lesnar is his buddy and that they trained together at the University of Minnesota, and Brock is like family to him. So if Rey has a problem with Brock, he's got a problem with Shelton, and Shelton starts smacking Rey around. And then Cain Velasquez, and Shelton's actually quite confused because Shelton starts smacking Rey Mysterio, and he's like, so this is how you get a title shot in WWE, eh? This is how you get a title shot in WWE? By smacking Rey Mysterio. And it's like, wait a second. Shelton, Cain Velasquez got a title shot in WWE by defending Rey Mysterio, by attacking Brock Lesnar, right? So it doesn't really make sense. And also, Shelton, do you want a title shot at the WWE champion? Because you just said he's like family to you because the champion's Brock Lesnar. So Shelton was a little confused there at the end of it, right? Didn't make a lot of sense.
That's fine, though.
This is how you get a title shot? It's like, wait, no. First of all, no, that's not how you get a title shot. You have to save Rey Mysterio and attack Brock. It's not by attacking Rey. And B, I thought you love Brock. You want to wrestle him now? Doesn't make sense. So then Cain Velasquez shows up. He throws, he gets a nice takedown. Like, Shelton goes for a takedown. Cain counters, gets his own takedown, and then throws some punches that were terribly weak looking, awful punches. But I guess it's hard for Cain Velasquez to throw punches that don't absolutely kill you, because usually Cain on top of you, it's a bloodbath.
Well, maybe he shouldn't throw that many punches if they're going to be that bad.
Cain Velasquez and Tyson Fury both have problems throwing punches that look real but aren't real, because they're throwing these fake punches that look super fake. Both of them. Super fake.
Tyson's
and I understand,
worse.
like, if they threw real punches, they'd kill somebody, but, like, hey, figure out some way in between, you know? Tyson Fury's punches were worse, but Cain Velasquez on Shelton were pretty awful.
Well, Tyson was like a whole body away. It was like this, and people were selling. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, Cain at least kind of made impact, like, he connected, but connected in the softest way possible. The softest wrestling punches you'll ever see, which makes you wonder, what kind of punches is Cain going to throw when he wrestles Brock Lesnar?
I would hope a lot more harder.
I would hope harder, but I don't know. So Cain takes Shelton down again, and he applies a rear naked choke, and then Shelton taps out, and Cain tosses him out of the ring. All in all, not a great little segment there.
Well, it didn't make Cain look very impressive.
That's it. He didn't look great because the punches looked terrible.
And
the little rear naked choke, it's like, all right, whatever.
That's another thing too. Like, when Brock goes in there and destroys, it looks pretty awesome.
He tosses people around.
And Cain, just to go in there, take down, punches, chokehold, not that great. I mean, okay.
Cain's offense looks less impressive than Ronda Rousey's offense. You know, like, I remember when Ronda would come in and storm the ring, she'd be judo tossing people all around the ring, doing that big slam that she did. Yeah. That was cool. You know, Brock Lesnar, he comes around, suplex city, German suplex all over the ring. Cain Velasquez, it's like double leg takedown and some weak old punches. Not too good. So Cain versus Brock for the WWE Championship. It's going down Thursday afternoon in Riyadh. Who do you got?
I don't think this will end in a clean finish. I expect a disqualification, no contest. Yeah, I don't think it ends here.
I agree. I don't think we get a clean finish, which is really unfortunate. You know, the WWE, they just continuously bait and switch us. I was talking on Dave and Johnny Live about how Roman Reigns and Nakamura was supposed to be a big match for the Intercontinental title last week on SmackDown, and instead it just, you know, never really happened. It turned into a disqualification, and it was a tag team match that meant absolutely nothing with Corbin and Nakamura against Roman and Bryan. You know, it went from a match that meant something, an Intercontinental title match where Roman might have been an Intercontinental champion, to a tag team match that really means nothing. And here with Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez, like, it's a big match. It's for the WWE title. There's a lot on the line. It's hard to fathom Brock Lesnar beating Cain Velasquez, knowing what Cain did to him in the UFC, but at the same time, like, is Cain Velasquez going to come in here, become WWE champion in his first ever match? That would be unheard of. I would like to see it happen. I'd like to see Cain just beat Brock, squash him, and now Cain's the new WWE champion, and we move on from here, and we see what's up. I'd like a decisive finish and Cain Velasquez winning. I think it would be a lot of fun, and you never know what you might do next with Cain. I think there are a lot of options because Cain is new and no one's ever wrestled him. Like we said, it's his first match in WWE. He's wrestling Brock Lesnar. He's never wrestled anybody else in the WWE, so there's a bunch of fresh matchups for Cain as potential champion. He signed a multi-year deal with the WWE, so why not give him the championship on his first match? He's going to be a star for you. You want him to be a big draw. Have him beat Brock. have him beat Brock. I think that's the best case scenario, but we've watched a lot of WWE, and they don't seem to give us the best case scenario these days, and they don't seem to give us a really decisive finish. So if I were to bet, I'd say we have some sort of double disqualification, non-finish. Maybe Brock gets disqualified, hits Cain with a chair. Maybe there's a double count or count out of some sort. Brock just bails on the match. But right now, this match, as far as we know, I mean, sometimes during the match they change the stipulation, right? But right now it's a straight-up wrestling match, one-on-one with count-outs and disqualifications and all that stuff. So a lot of exits for the WWE to take if they want to bail out of this match having a decisive finish. Brock could get disqualified. Brock could get counted out. Vice versa with Cain Velasquez. Anything could happen here, but I think after it's all said and done, Brock and Cain, we're not really sure who the better pro wrestler is. We don't really have a clean finish either way. I don't think we see a pinfall or a submission here, and we see Brock Lesnar holding on to the title in some sort of shifty way.
Well, let's remember, Brock's going to have Paul Heyman in his corner, and Kane's going to have Rey Mysterio in his corner. Rey, with his arm in a sling, what can he do?
Not much. About as much as Paul Heyman can do.
Well, Paul Heyman at least can, slide in a chair or something.
So could Rey with one arm. I think Rey with one arm is more dangerous than Paul Heyman. I mean, at least Rey is, a wrestler.
I don't expect Rey to do much, though.
I don't expect either of them to do anything.
But if anything, Brock would have the advantage just because, like you said, possibly get way out, cheap way out.
Yeah, Brock's in trouble. Heyman slides in a chair. Brock hits Cain with a chair. Brock loses by disqualification, and we're out.
Well, look at the history of the past Saudi Arabia shows. There's rarely title changes unless they're stuck, and it's this is for the vacant championships. So usually you don't see something crazy like that happen. You usually get these kind of crummy finishes where there's no winner, really.
Is Cain Velasquez on Raw or SmackDown? Because he's on both shows right now, right?
Seems like he's a free agent.
Free agent. Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, is on SmackDown. He's taking on the Raw champion, Seth Rollins, in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I think we're going to have a decisive finish here, and Seth Rollins is going to win. I don't see The Fiend taking the Universal title over to SmackDown. It wouldn't make any kind of sense. So Seth wins, whatever. I don't really care about this one. I'm over this Seth Rollins and The Fiend thing. The Hell in a Cell match left a bad taste in a lot of wrestling fans' mouths, right? We don't want to see this again. We're sick of it.
Well, I like to see them redeem themselves because I'm sure they kind of feel bad about that match, the reaction that it got. So I'm sure they want to have a good match, a good showing.
Falls Count Anywhere, they could do it. I think it'll be pretty good. I think it's going to be a decent match.
I think Falls Count Anywhere, it's a better stipulation for their kind of wrestling.
That's it. And it says underneath, match cannot be stopped for any reason. They had to add that in because they want to make sure to let you know this match will not be stopped. Even if somebody dies, they will, finish the match.
Well, I think there's going to be no confusion about the winner. I think because there was a lot of people wondering, was a DQ finish?
It'll be Seth too, right?
I highly expect Seth.
A couple curb stomps, maybe 5 or 6 of them, 1, 2, 3.
Well, that's it. I mean, when you look back at the Hell in a Cell match, Seth pretty much won that match, except not the result. So
Seth has never done a springboard or top rope curb stomp. Maybe a super curb stomp is what's needed to stop the Fiend, right? He always does it kind of hits the ropes and then jumps and does a curb stomp. Maybe if he does it from off the top rope, it'll be more impactful. Super curb stomp from the top rope down to onto a chair,
If they're
something like that. Hey, Seth, I just gave you a finish. You're welcome. Super curb stomp.
If they're still in the ring, this match could end backstage.
I guess. Falls Count Anywhere, right? Anywhere.
It'd be fun if they went outside.
In Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
It would be cool just to see what it looks like, But we think Seth is going to win, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And we think Brock is going to walk away with the title in some sort of shady match. How about Braun Strowman, Tyson Fury? What is this going to be?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Hopefully nothing too terrible to watch. But I just expect a lot of pushing, a lot of throwing each other against the ropes, a lot of no-selling, maybe a couple moves here and there, and go home, please.
Tyson Fury wins?
Yeah, I think so. It's one of those Big Show matches where it's like Big Show should win, but he loses, like Akibono.
Yeah.
It's going to be like
Floyd
that.
Mayweather?
Well, Floyd, no, it made sense because Floyd did every trick in the book to win that match, so.
Yeah, but he's like outweighed by 200 pounds.
Yeah, but he had outside interference. He had the brass knucks. So many things helped Floyd win that match.
Yeah.
Salad dressing. I mean, if Tyson has salad dressing, sure, but apparently this is just straight up one-on-one, right?
I don't know what this match is going to be, but I expect it to be Goldberg, Undertaker level ugly.
Yeah, it could be, yeah, unfortunately.
With Tyson Fury coming out on top in the end. With some sort of punch to the face, I think.
Yeah, I guess they'll have a punch off or something, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I don't know what that's going to be, but, I'm looking forward to it because it could be just a total mess. Like, I'm curious,
Well, you're like me and the Undertaker and Goldberg.
It's like watching a car crash.
Yeah.
Like, it's ugly, but you want to look.
Exactly.
Yeah. The Brock-Cain match could be ugly, too.
Yeah, but I think they're going to be safe with that one, though. They're going to keep that one short. With Tyson Fury and Braun, what are you going to do? If that's short, that makes either one look really bad.
It is Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. WWE Crown Jewel going down on Thursday, October 31st, Halloween. Just wrapping up the preview here. How about Team Flair versus Team Hogan? Roman Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Shorty G, formerly known as Chad Gable. Do we really have to call him Shorty G?
He called himself that now.
Yeah. And Ali, they are Team Hogan. They will have Hulk Hogan by their side in their corner. And then Team Flair will be captained by Randy Orton. And then with King Corbin, Bobby Lashley, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Drew McIntyre. And they will have Ric Flair in their corner. I'm going with the babyfaces to win. Team Hogan, brother, what you gonna do?
Especially if this is going to be the main event of the show, which it kind of seems like it because it seems to be like the most hyped match, no?
No, Brock and Kane's got a main event. It's Brock Lesnar. It's a WWE title. It's Cain Velasquez. That's the main event. Come on.
But if you have a no finish to that and you end the show with a no finish, I don't know. That's rough.
Good point.
That's why I think maybe you go with this. It's easy. Team Hogan wins. Everyone's happy.
Bunch of baby faces celebrating in the ring with Hogan to close the show.
Pyro.
Hulk Hogan with music and pyro and muscles posing to end a wrestling show is never a bad idea.
Yeah.
Never.
I think this is going to main.
Yeah, good call, John. Good call. I think you're right. I didn't think so, but, now that you put it that way, like, Brock and Kane with a non-finish doesn't really make sense to be the main event. Mansoor will beat Cesaro. That's a given. He's from Saudi Arabia. How about the 19 tag team turmoil match for the WWE World Cup? Like, I don't really care. I think the New Day is going to win.
I like New Day a lot. I don't like the tag team champions winning.
Apparently, it's going to be Big E and Kofi Kingston. So Kofi's in this match.
Well, Xavier's out for a year, so yeah.
Oh, right. Xavier's hurt. A year?
They're saying a year, yeah.
Oh, torn Achilles?
Yeah.
That sucks. So the New Day, the Viking Raiders, Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, the Revival, the OC, Ziggler and Rude, and the B-Team all in this one. Like I said, I got the New Day.
I mean, they could surprise us, and it could be like the B-Team winning. Because does it really matter who wins this match? Not really.
No.
But I think New Day, just to give them something.
Yeah, they're they're not tag team champions, but they're the biggest tag team, most well-known tag team in this match, right?
Exactly.
Kofi coming off that WWE title run. Give him this. He deserves something. Especially if the New Day is going to be Kofi and Big E going forward, right? Without Woods, you need Kofi as a tag team guy.
That's a good point.
Here goes Kofi's main event run. Back in the tag team division, Kofi. Oh, well. It was fun while it lasted. All right, we got AEW Dynamite to get to. What happened this week? What's coming up next week in AEW? And some surprising things going on in NXT, a big heel turn that we'll get to as well. It is Wrestling Uncensored. Stay with us. Oh, yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He's Johnny North.
Hey.
RingsideReport.net is the website. Go check us out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the video. Leave a comment. YouTube.com/RingsideReport.net. AEW Dynamite going down this week. I thought it was a solid show. I really liked the opening match, Lucha Brothers and Private Party. The Lucha Brothers beating Private Party after their finisher to advance to the AEW Tag Team Title Tournament Finals, and that final match will happen next week, as it will be the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon and Phoenix, taking on SCU. SCU beating the Dark Order this week on AEW Dynamite. I thought that match was fantastic as well. And now we have SCU versus the Lucha Brothers next week for the AEW Tag Team Championship. The first ever AEW Tag Team Champions will be crowned next week in Charleston, West Virginia.
It's pretty cool. Highly enjoyable show, start to finish, I thought.
We were wrong, too. We thought it was going to be Private Party versus Dark Order in the finals. Wrong on both matches, John.
Well, no, I thought it'd be SCU versus Lucha Brothers in some capacity. Didn't need to be for the tag team titles, but okay, sure.
I kind of wanted to see the Dark Order become the first ever tag team champions, but now we have Lucha Brothers versus SCU. I'd give it to the Lucha Brothers. Like, they're awesome. Why not?
It's kind of disappointing that the Dark Order, that was their first loss, and it was just kind of like whatever that they lost.
Well, they lost in the semifinals of the tag team tournament to SCU.
It didn't seem like it was that big of a deal when they lost. It wasn't epic. You know, it should have been a big thing that they lost because they had the advantage going into this, that they got the first round bye. They were a fresher team. They didn't make that big deal out of it, unfortunately.
Good match, though.
It was a very good match. I liked that the Inner Circle showed up, too. It had some interest. He thought maybe they'd get involved. It was interesting.
Yeah, it was cool that the Inner Circle just kind of showed up during that match, but just to go to their private box that they had, they just kind of walked through the crowd and went into their loge.
But they were cheering on Dark Order, so it's like, maybe they're going to interfere.
Yeah. Well, they're kind of cheering the heels, right? They were kind of cheering for Joey Janela during the Kenny Omega Joey Janela match too, right?
Oh, they don't like Kenny.
They don't like Kenny.
That's the main thing, I think.
Well, they don't like the Elite. You know, the Inner Circle, they're the main antagonists to the Elite, Chris Jericho's group. Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela, they had that match. I don't think it was a good move to book this match a week after their tremendous hardcore match on AEW Dark, because if you saw that match, you know, this match didn't quite measure up. It was a fantastic match.
Right.
But I think that you could have done more with the Kenny-Joey Janela match if you had delayed it for a month or two so that you build buzz so that when it is happening, you're like, oh, man, remember their match a couple months ago? It was really awesome. Here we go. We're going to see Kenny and Joey again. And I think it would have been more impactful and more people would have been talking about it if they had had this same match in a month or two. Having it a week after is kind of like, well, it's cool and all, but your match last week was way better, so what am I watching this for? You know, like, it was a very good match, but the one that they had, the hardcore match with all the stuff and all the craziness, it was better. It was more fun. So this one was kind of like an afterthought. Very good, but I think it would have meant more had you done it in a longer time, given it more of a buffer. Do it in a month or two, not the next week.
I get that, but I feel that AEW, they want to put out the best show they possibly can every week, and this is a great match. They had it last week. Why not do it again? Because they want to have the best TV. I think this was Janela's debut on Dynamite as well, so you want to get people exposed to who he is and why he's a big deal.
Okay.
I think that was the reason why they went with that.
Not bad, too, to have Kenny Omega wrestling on this card when John Moxley, his opponent in Full Gear's in the main event, right?
Been a very good match against Pac.
Yeah, that match was very good in the main event as well. Moxley versus Pac goes to a time limit draw. Some people were complaining that it ended in a draw. I didn't really have a problem with it. If you're going to do time limit draws every once in a while, you have to establish it as something that happens in the company. Pac and Moxley are both booked very strong. Like, I'd rather a time limit draw than some sort of weird disqualification interference type thing like the WWE might do. I don't mind a time limit draw because it just says, okay, these two guys are both very good. It's a very competitive match, but after 15 minutes, it's just not enough to settle a winner. It's a stalemate after 15 minutes. Maybe if we gave them 30 minutes, they would, one guy would lose and we'd be able to determine a winner between these two. But, 15 minutes just isn't enough, and establishing that is totally fine with me. I like it. I thought the match was great. That 450 that Pac did off the apron. Oh, goodness. The thud.
Well, Moxley was fighting from behind the whole match, right? Because Pac jumped him early on.
Yeah.
So the fact that Moxley took it to a draw, it's kind of like a win almost in a sense because he was pretty much behind the whole time.
Do you have a problem with the time limit draw?
The only problem I had was that was the main event. You went off the air with that's a draw and that's it. So that was kind of a flat kind of ending, unfortunately, to a very good show. I probably would have put the match on earlier in the show and ended with something better, I think, as an ending.
I would have ended with that whole melee where Cody and his crew go up and attack Jericho's crew.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would have been the closing segment for me.
Yeah, because that felt very authentic when they were in the backstage and
just
everything.
Like to fade to black with Jericho yelling at Cody, "I've got a ticket, you can't do this to me," I think that would have been a better way to end the show.
Right.
But it was still a very good show this week, right? Best wrestling show of the week.
Oh, I think there's no question about that. But I mean,
it's the best wrestling show of the week every single week. They do kind of have an unfair advantage, though. I was thinking about this. Imagine if the WWE only did 4 pay-per-views a year, and they didn't tour, they didn't do house shows, and they only put on 1 show a week, and it was 2 hours long. Imagine how good that show would be. Like AEW, that's what they do. They do 4 pay-per-views a year. They have 1 show a week that they do. They don't tour. They don't do anything. They have 1 2-hour wrestling show. I mean, yeah, it's going to be good. If the WWE did that, if they could concentrate all their assets into 1 2-hour wrestling show, it would be phenomenal.
Well, also, you look at the talent, too. Like, they're trying as hard as they can. And WWE, maybe not so much.
I think the talent is trying. Maybe not everybody on every night, but they're worked very, very hard.
Well, AEW, they worked, I think, even harder, in my opinion. If you watch that.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you work really hard, if you go 100% in a match, and you know that the next day you're off and you can rest.
That helps a lot, of course.
But if you work and you have to go 100% in a match, but the next day you have to travel and go, get on a plane for a few hours and then go wrestle another match, and then the day after you have to do it, and the day after that, and the day after that, yeah, I would take it easy too, because I know what I have ahead of me, and maybe I have to take it easy because I'm banged up from everything that I've done so far. The WWE schedule is so rigorous. Obviously, the guys aren't going to work as hard or do the crazy stuff that the guys in AEW are going to do. If you work for AEW, you don't have to wrestle that much. You could wrestle 1 match a week if you work for AEW. Even then, maybe not, right?
Maybe, but you watched their wrestling.
Did Cody wrestle this week?
He did not.
Didn't wrestle a match. You don't have that luxury in the WWE. You don't. So, we're comparing WWE to AEW, and that's fine because, we're wrestling fans. But if you look at what WWE actually produces, they're putting out way more product than AEW does. But, it dilutes the quality. That's really what it is. The WWE is quantity and AEW is quality. And I, as a wrestling fan, with limited time and so many different options for entertainment, I would rather take quality over the quantity that the WWE gives me. WWE gives me a lot of bad stuff. If they concentrated it into 1 2-hour block and 4 pay-per-views a year, I bet you it would be very good, just like AEW Dynamite is.
Well, I feel in WWE there's a bit more restrictions. In AEW, you see, they take more risk with their wrestling.
They're spread very thin, though, right? In WWE, it's very thin. It's 3 hours of Raw, a whole roster there, all sorts of guys there and ladies, 2 hours of SmackDown, 2 hours of NXT, 3 different brands, 3 different rosters. They're spread very thin. If they had 1 brand, 1 roster, 1 show, it'd be pretty good, right? So Cody, I like the whole Cody Inner Circle thing. on AEW. Cody's interviewed in the ring, and then the Inner Circle's in their private box, and they're blowing air horns during Cody's promo. And Cody says this isn't like the company that he and Jericho come from, where there's like an invisible wall between the ring and the crowd, and he could go and attack Jericho right now, which is kind of funny, because very often in WWE, right, like somebody runs in the crowd, and the person in the ring is like, oh, I'll get you, but they don't like think to chase after them.
Or even on the stage.
It's really weird. So Cody is like, I'm going to come get you. But Jericho's like, no, you're an entitled millennial little bee, and you're not going to do anything. And then Cody's like, oh, yeah. And then Dustin Rhodes, Cody's brother, shows up. And MJF, Cody's best friend, shows up. And DDP, Cody's like mentor or whatever, shows up. And they all head up to Jericho's skybox, and they brawl with the Inner Circle, or at least the Inner Circle minus Hager, because he's preparing for his MMA fight, right? He wasn't on AEW Dynamite this week. And then they lock themselves in a door, and Cody breaks the glass, and it's a whole big brawl. And then security actually escorts Cody and his crew out, because Jericho, they have tickets, and Cody went to attack them in their seats. So really, Cody's in the wrong. I like that whole segment. I thought it was really good. And I love that DDP was involved. It's like, okay, DDP might not be wrestling anymore, but if Cody needs backup in some sort of brawl scenario, why not use him? I like that, you know? Bang! DDP. I'm into DDP. He's great, man.
Well, a lot of people in wrestling love DDP for the DDP yoga, so
I love DDP for like the cool mullet he used to have, self-high fives, his matches with Macho Man Randy Savage, when he turned on the NWO, and so many other great things in DDP's career. Not the Undertaker feud, though. That sucked.
It was funny, though.
I think DDP blames Taker for that, which is like, oh, DDP, you sure you want to say
you talked to DDP about that.
Didn't he blame Taker?
He kind of was open about like saying like if Taker would have gave him something.
Yeah, but Taker was just not into putting DDP over for one reason or another.
Well, he was in that mentality of it's war, it's WWF versus WCW, even though the war was over.
Young Bucks beat the Best Friends with more bang for your buck. I thought that match was very good.
See, that maybe should have been the main event instead, because that ended well, no?
Yeah. Young Bucks win in the end. That makes sense.
But you also had Orange Cassidy show up, so like the Bucks weren't completely the faces in this.
Yeah, that's true.
That was interesting.
Orange Cassidy is beloved. So are the Best Friends, and the Bucks were like super kicking Orange Cassidy. He's funny, that guy. I like him.
They dived on him too, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
He's good, Orange Cassidy. It's a funny gimmick. People say, oh, it's ridiculous, you know. I think it's totally fine. Dr. Britt Baker was in her hometown of Britsburg, also known as Pittsburgh. And she beat Jamie Hayter in Hayter's AEW debut with a lockjaw submission. I like Jamie Hayter. I thought she was really good.
I thought she was better than Britt Baker was.
Really?
Yeah, without question.
I thought the match was really good, and I thought Jamie Hayter was fantastic. I'm happy to see her. It's like, here's somebody new I've never seen before, and she's great.
Well, I just like that she got involved with the crowd. She got in Britt's face and did that wet willy thing too as well. It just seemed that she was very interactive with her wrestling, which was like kind of refreshing. With a lot of the women, they just kind of go through the motions. So
yeah, I thought AEW was really good this week. I was impressed by a new wrestler. You know, a lot of fun. NXT I thought was really good this week too. Rhea Ripley beating Bianca Belair. I thought that match was really good.
Really?
I mean, it was all right.
I mean, it started very slow. Like, it took them forever to finally get to some wrestling.
Yeah, it wasn't the match of the week. What was the match of the week, John? It's a tough one.
There's a lot of good tag matches this week on AEW.
I'd say the Lucha Brothers and Private Party for me. I thought that was the best.
See, it was good, but it was just a lot of spots. Like, a lot of the match didn't make any sense.
The Bucks and the Best Friends was really good too, though.
See, that made more sense.
I might give that the match of the week. Bucks and Best Friends.
I think it was.
It was very good. NXT had some good matches though. I liked Matt Riddle and Cameron Grimes. I thought that match was fun.
Yeah, that was good.
Riddle getting the win there. Breezango and Isaiah Scott against the Forgotten Sons was forgettable.
That was way too long and just not great.
Not great. Angel Garza and Jack Gallagher I thought was all right. Garza beating Gallagher there.
It's nice that they push Garza. I didn't think they were pushing him at all.
Something. Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai beating Marina Shafir and Jessamyn Duke. I thought was interesting. Don't see much of Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir actually wrestling, so it was cool to see them in the ring.
I can see why they don't wrestle that much, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, they weren't great. The match wasn't great, but it was for a shot at the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, which I thought was really cool. I thought that stipulation was awesome. So now Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai getting the win. The Kabuki Warriors, the Tag Team Champions, they appeared on the Tron and cut a promo on them in Japanese and laughing at them. And now next week on NXT, it'll be Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, the Tag Team Champions, defending against Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. So I like this. You know, they're technically Raw superstars, but because they're the Women's Tag Team Champions, they can defend on Raw or SmackDown or now even NXT, which I think is great. And I look forward to the match. I'm a big fan of the Kabuki Warriors. How could you not be? They're phenomenal wrestlers.
Well, I guess women don't wrestle on Raw anymore, so I guess they have to wrestle on NXT.
Do they not?
Was there any women? There was no women this week on Raw.
You're right. Where was Becky?
I think Becky had something that she was attending or something.
Where was Charlotte?
I don't know where Charlotte was, but not there.
Yeah, so I guess the real representation of Raw this week was Lana, who's brainwashed by Bobby Lashley. Nice work, WWE. Nice. So Roderick Strong beat Keith Lee and Dominic Dijakovic in a triple threat match to retain his NXT North American title. I thought that match was fantastic. That Tower of Doom spot that they did was frightening.
Well, it's not the first time they've done something like that, though.
With the suplex and the powerbomb, that was nuts.
They've done that before, though.
Woo! That match was really good. I am a big fan of Keith Lee.
He's good.
Bask in his glory.
Surprised that he took the loss, though, in this match.
Yeah. Disappointed. I wanted to see him win. Like, I want to see Keith Lee pushed big time. He's awesome. That guy's massive. Big Texan guy like that. Push that guy. Keith Lee? Hell yeah.
Thing is that this triple
he
threat...
needs better gear, though. I don't like his ring gear. They're kind of like, they look kind of indie, you know?
Well, it is their indie gear, but...
Yeah, he needs to invest in some better gear. That's the only problem I have with Keith Lee. Everything else is fantastic. I like the catchphrase, bask in his glory. I like the look, the presentation, the wrestling. Haven't heard him talk very much, but, you know, whatever. But the ring gear is like, not so great. Needs better ring gear. He'd look like a superstar. Like, get better ring gear, and they'll push you better, Keith Lee, because they'll see you as a star, because you are a star.
Well, he's massive, too. A lot of people in
He's
NXT
massive.
Are small, so...
Man, he was awesome. So then, after the match, the Undisputed Era, they beat up on Keith Lee. Tommaso Ciampa shows up, and then Johnny Gargano shows up to back up Tommaso Ciampa, and then Finn Balor shows up, and it looks like he's going to back up Ciampa and Gargano, but he doesn't. He kicks Gargano in the head, and then Undisputed Era, they beat up on Ciampa. Finn hits a high-angle DDT on Gargano on the ramp, and then the Undisputed Era do some sort of salute to Finn. It's not clear if the Undisputed Era and Finn are on the same side. Like, is Finn now the new leader of the Undisputed Era, or is he just, you know, a fellow heel who just doesn't like Gargano and Ciampa? I don't know, but it looked like Finn was going to be challenging Adam Cole for the NXT title at some point, but now, not so much, because Finn seems to be a heel, siding with the Undisputed Era, and now Finn, I guess, is going to wrestle Johnny Gargano.
Well, this week just seemed like a bunch of stupid heel turns just because they need to switch the alignments a bit. Fresh matches. I think that's why this was done. It's better matches for Finn when you think about it. Him against Gargano, him against Ciampa.
I guess. I mean, what were they going to do? Have Finn beat Adam Cole and then be NXT champion again?
Yeah, it's a little too easy like that.
Yeah. So I guess this does make sense. I don't know. It was like, oh, cool, they're doing that, but it's not something where I'm like, oh, man, here we go, Finn versus Johnny Gargano, can't wait. And heel Finn, I don't know.
Well, it's different, right? So,
would you put him with the Undisputed Era? Like, would he join the group, or do you keep him by himself?
I'll keep him by himself. He's way too powerful for the Undisputed Era. He doesn't need a group with him.
But he could join them and become more powerful, be the new leader. You know, take Adam Cole's spot and be like, no, Finn leads his group now. Why not?
Well, let them have the Cole-Ciampa match. Ciampa will probably win, and I could see Ciampa against Finn going forward towards WrestleMania probably.
For the title.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose. So that's NXT this week. Not bad, but not amazing. Not the best wrestling
Ups and
show of the
downs.
week, right?
NXT is always like that.
Better than Raw.
Okay, but Raw wasn't much of anything this week too. So
Not as good as AEW Dynamite, though. That's the most entertaining wrestling program going on.
it's the difference. Like they're really trying, like every match, to steal the show, and like with Raw, you can feel that they're not trying. They're just trying to entertain you, but not succeeding.
What do you expect to be a better wrestling show overall? WWE Crown Jewel or AEW Full Gear?
Well, if you look at it on paper, right now, Crown Jewel should kill it, right? On paper. But in reality, what we'll actually see is a better wrestling show on Full Gear instead.
For sure. 100% Full Gear. And we will be here to cover Full Gear. We'll do a whole post show for it or watch along something. We'll be doing coverage on the YouTube channel. Always check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, get the alerts when you click the notification bell. And ringsidereport.net is the website for everything there. If you want to know more about Ringside Report, MMA, or Wrestling Uncensored, or Dave and Johnny Live, all the shows are available. You can watch them. You can download the podcast, all at www.ringsidereport.net. Johnny North, before we go, when's your next match? When can people see you in the ring?
It's going to be November 17th. Be wrestling Torture Chamber, Showcase Sunday, 4325 Industrial Boulevard in Montreal North. Bell time, 2 p.m.
For more on that, follow him on Twitter at North Genesis. Follow him on Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. You can follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. Big thanks to everybody helping us out on the radio side. We will talk to you again. I'll be back for Ringside Report Live this Wednesday night, a special time on the YouTube channel at 8 p.m. And, more for Dave and Johnny Live and Wrestling Uncensored and all that next week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for watching. For Johnny, I'm Dave, and this has been Wrestling Uncensored. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.